President Bola Tinubu today met with APC governors at the presidential villa in Abuja. That's after the governors had the NEC meeting, which was chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. And the ADC and Atiku Abubakar is criticizing the Tinubu government over their policies on poverty reduction and fuel subsidy and what the average Nigerian is facing. As Atiku is doubling down on fuel subsidy reversal plan, the ADC says the Tinubu agenda is not working. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale live for you here in our Abuja studio. Let's tell you that President Bola Tinubu has ordered a comprehensive reform of the Nigerian football, calling for far-reaching changes to governance, administration and stakeholder representation, development pathways, domestic competitions and accountability, following the country's repeated failure to qualify for major international tournaments. The president says football, despite enjoying enormous public support and investment, has continued to underperform because of deep-seated structural weaknesses, and has directed the National Sports Commission to work with the NFF Secretariat, relevant stakeholders, FIFA and CAF, to ensure continuity while driving a broad and consultative reform process. The directive comes as the president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusso, announced his resignation with immediate effect at the World Press Conference at the NFF Glass House in Abuja, saying he was stepping aside to allow other Nigerians contribute to the development of the game, while insisting that he leaves the federation better than he met it, despite Nigeria's failure to qualify for the men's and women's World Cup. Gusso also says he had advised members of his board to resign, although he was not aware of any board member who had done so, while NFF General Secretary Mohammed Sanusi earlier announced his own resignation to staff of the federation, marking a major leadership shake-up at the Tinubu administration football governing body.
This year we go with the Super Falcons. It doesn't go the good way that all expected, because this is the first time they will not qualify for the World Cup and even to defend the trophy. Last year we were not able to qualify for the World Cup after our playoff games, but the bulk of all these problems come to the board. But we are proud to say that at least we can also say our own part of successes, which all of you are aware of. And then because of that, there was so much glamour from here and there, football stakeholders, everybody, about what is going on, about the state of football. Then we feel it's important to see that at least as Nigerians, nobody is greater than this.
All right, the NFF president, Ibrahim Gusso, resigning earlier today. There's so much to talk about tonight. My guest on the program will be speaking with us on some of the effort in alleviating poverty and getting some Nigerians working. But that's going to get our attention when we serve you some of your political roundup stories.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, says the debate over the removal of fuel subsidy is no longer relevant, describing attempts to revisit the decision as an effort to rewind the hands of the clock. Speaking during a visit to Governor Abu Kefas of Taraba State in Jalingo, the state capital, Mr. Idris notes that the removal of fuel subsidy has created a financial headroom for the federal government and subnational governments to pursue critical development projects. The minister listed infrastructure development, the establishment of NEL Fund, greater stability in the foreign exchange market, increased openness to international business, and the growth of Nigeria's foreign reserves beyond $50 billion among the gains of the policy. The Nigeria Governors Forum has thrown its support for the proposed National Affordable CNG Transit Program, a state-led initiative designed to translate the lower operating cost of CNG into reduced transport fares for citizens across the nation. This was disclosed after the governors received presentations on the project during its meeting in Abuja. Addressing journalists on the outcome of the meeting, Bayelsa State Governor Duyediri disclosed that the forum also received presentation from the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investments, Jumoke Oduwole, on opportunities for state participation in CANEX Weekend 2026 and the Intra-African Trade Fair 2027, scheduled to hold in Lagos. A civil society organization, Fix Nigeria Politics, is urging key stakeholders in Nigeria's electoral process to take bold steps towards ensuring free, fair and credible elections in 2027. The organization explains that public confidence in the electoral process can only be strengthened when the electoral umpire involves transparency, accountability, and effective implementation of electoral laws. Executive Director of the organization, Mr. Anthony Ubani, notes that the concerns come amid ongoing discussions on electoral reforms, calling for stronger safeguards around election technology, result management, and voter participation. To Kwara State, where the Otoge Progressive has formally launched the Kwara State chapter of the National Rainbow Coalition, a multi-party arrangement bringing together politicians, stakeholders, and grassroots structures from different political platforms around a common presidential candidate, while allowing participating blocs to retain their respective political identities and pursue other electoral choices. The members of the group, who are mostly those dissatisfied with the outcome of the last primaries of the All Progressives Congress, promised to support the second-term bid of President Tinubu and their members who are vying for political offices from other parties apart from the APC. The spokesperson of the group, Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe, says the change in government is necessary as they were not carried along before candidates were imposed on them.
All right, there you have it, your political roundup stories. Let's tell you that today, President Bola Tinubu sworn in Abel Olumuyiwa Enita as the new head of the service of the Federation, succeeding Ms. Didi Esther Walson-Jack, who retired after attaining the mandatory retirement age of 60. The brief ceremony at the State House in Abuja formally begins Enita's tenure as Nigeria's Chief Administrative Officer, following the appointment by the President on August 19 as the most senior serving permanent secretary. President who congratulated the new head of service and charged him to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, integrity, accountability, and efficiency across the federal civil service. Enita, an indigene of Osun State, joined the federal civil service in 1998 and has served in several senior capacities, including at the office of the Vice President and as permanent secretary in the Federal Civil Service Commission and the Ministries of Environment, Police Affairs, Humanitarian Affairs, Poverty Reduction, and Education. Earlier today, governors of the Federation held a NEC meeting where the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, chaired the meeting. After that meeting, some of the APC governors proceeded to meet with President Bola Tinubu. Also, the APC, of course, Governors Forum known as the Progressive Governors. The meeting, which we understand started shortly before 4 p.m. earlier today, after the governors had concluded a separate session of the National Economic Council meeting presided over by the Vice President. The meeting is coming 8 days after the official commencement of campaigns for the 2027 general elections and some of the controversies around the APC National Campaign Council Committee.
The council was made to understand that contracts have been awarded for the rehabilitation of the 13 police training institutions, and 80% of contractors have received their award letters. The rehabilitation work is for a period of 3 weeks, aimed at putting the institutions in shape for the commencement of training programs by the police force. and strong efforts are ongoing to expedite action in the release of funds for the actual commencement of the rehabilitation work.
Governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa, stating some of the outcome of the NEC meeting today. Let's take you to Kaduna State, where the government today graduated 4,050 youths from the state-owned Institute of Vocational Training and Skill Development as part of effort to develop local skills, promote self-reliance, and create jobs. The graduates, drawn from 3 campuses of the institute, were trained in various technical and vocational skills aimed at promoting employment and entrepreneurship. At that graduation ceremony in Riga Shikun Igabi local government area, Governor Sani announced a 310 million naira status support for the graduates to enable them begin their journey into self-reliance. He also charged them to put the skills acquired to training to productive use and contribute to the development of the state. Kaduna State is putting the skills, human capital development, and youth empowerment at the center of its development agenda. The representation of the Minister of Education speaks to the importance of this effort.
Also, we should thank the Executive Governor for approving the use of the training manuals of this institute across Nigeria. This institute developed 14 different training manuals at different levels in the 14 trade areas. The Minister of Education wrote to the Governor for permission to use those training manuals across Nigeria, and His Excellency gave that approval. They are now national documents being used across Nigeria.
He was not the only person who spoke at that event, because at the heart of the conversation is the issue relating to how the people can be self-reliant other than the handout that is usually being given in poverty reduction. I'm very sure that you all might now know that there are a lot of talks around the governors and the states getting a lot of money recently, that there's a lot of money being saved from the subsidy that has been scrapped. But what is the evidence of this money? Beyond the ceremonies and the headline figures are bigger questions about outcomes. Can this investment translate into sustainable jobs, stronger household incomes, and real economic opportunities? Can the government deliver on its ambitious target of 32,000 trainees annually and beyond skills acquisition? What measurable progress is Kaduna making on security, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and the cost of living pressures? I'm now being joined by the governor of Kaduna State. Senator Sani is live for us here in our studio. Your Excellency, it's a pleasure having you join us tonight on the program.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
And congratulations, because what we hear, and we've been trying to ask governors, your colleagues, about what are they doing with the more money that they said the Tinubu government is making available. But today, we saw that. What is this all about? Can you give us a summary of how many people? You said 32,000, that's what you're training, that's what you're targeting.
Yeah.
But what exactly is at the center of the heart of this program?
Thank you very much, Sean, and thank you very much for having me again. Of course, when we came in 2023, we look at our educational system holistically, and we look at areas that we need to capitalize on to address some of these issues we were able to discover. And of course, one area that we feel is necessary is investing in the area of skill-based education in Kaduna State, knowing fully that one of the major agenda of our government is education, but knowing fully that if you want to address any problem, that's with education, healthcare, even infrastructure, you first and foremost have to address the issue of unemployment, the issue of poverty, which of course that will help in addressing the issue of insecurity. Because, many times I came here, I told you most of the issues we're facing, particularly in the Northwest, that has to do with insecurity, is largely because of the issue of unemployment, poverty, hopelessness. And of course, we realize that we have a lot of deficit in the area of skills in our state and in the country generally. And of course, if you look at even Dangote refinery and many other big industries in Nigeria, you will agree with me that a lot of people working there, some of them even came from countries outside Nigeria. Even some factories, you realize that there are a lot of people that came from even West African countries. We're not talking about India now. Even some come from West African countries, meaning we have a lot of problem in the issue of skills gap in Nigeria. So what did we do? We partnered with the National Board for Technical Education. We did a needs assessment, and we came up with this idea of building Institute of Vocational Training and Skill Development in Kaduna State. And at that time, we agreed that we must build 3 campuses, one in Zone 1, one in Zone 2, and one in Zone 3. And of course...
Does this cover the 3 senatorial districts?
3 senatorial zones
of the state.
So, if you recall, last year, June precisely, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in Kaduna when he officially commissioned these very institutes. The one in Kaduna, that's Irigachukun, the one we did the function today, was named after Abdul Qadir Balarabe Musa, the former governor of Kaduna State. The one in Zone 3 was named after Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa, also the former governor. And the one in Zone 1 is named after Colonel Abakar Danjo Umar, who happens to be also the former governor of Kaduna State. As I was speaking, the whole idea was at least graduating 32,000 youths, mostly those that are underserved, underprivileged, but they're very active. And of course, we embark on this very important journey, and I'm happy because our collaboration with the National Board for Technical Education really helped us a lot. As we are speaking, today, you will have seen yourself that we graduated about 4,050. And of course, as a matter of correction, what we gave them today as their own grant is 810 million naira. And it will interest you to know that all these 4,050 young men and women that went through this very rigorous training in about 14 trades of skills development, went through all these 3 institutes free. We have accommodations there for those who want to live in the school. Those that want to come from their homes, they are free to do that. So we have accommodation. We ensure that everything is free. Nobody has paid a kobo because we believe in Kaduna State. Well, we are building roads, building hospitals, addressing the issue of healthcare. Human capital development is very important. The human capability is very critical because we believe there are a lot of youths from our need assessment that are in the street doing nothing because they need opportunity. And I'm happy today. If you look at their mood, the way they are happy, they have gone through these very institutes with the collaboration of NBTE. And not only that, they were given certification that will allow them to work anywhere they want in this country and outside the country.
They can be employed in corporate organizations, in government, because of the MBTE.
Yeah, because the certification is one of the high certification.
For vocational
training. That is a Nigerian skills qualification framework, level 2. Meaning they can work in Dangote factory, they can work in any factory. In fact, we can export skills. That was what the MBTE chairman was saying. And it will also interest you to know, last month, the Minister of Education, Mr. Lausa, also wrote us a letter and asked us to allow the federal government to use our manual of this institute for the federal government to use them in the TVET programs in this country because we have developed our manual ahead of the federal government. And of course, they realize that our manual is the standard, not only in Nigeria, but globally. And of course, if you heard carefully what the MBTE Executive Secretary said, Professor Idris Bagaju, who supervised all the technical education in Nigeria, including federal universities of technology, polytechnics of technology and even polytechnics generally. He made mention that our 3 institutes are more equipped than any federal university of technology or polytechnic in the whole of Nigeria. And that is the reason why the Minister of Education asked us to allow them to use our manual.
Let me jump in quickly. So we are talking about welders, solar technicians, auto mechatronics, trainees, caterers, fashion designer, computer technicians. Am I right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the amount that you're giving them today, 810 million to the 4,050 young graduates.
Yes.
If you divide it by them equally, it means that each of them will go home with about 200,000 naira per graduate.
Yes, that's a grant.
So it's a starter support grant.
It's a support start,
and they are not supposed to pay back.
They are not.
They are being given. So did you give them equipment too?
Yes, because you see, most of them. Let me even go further to tell you, majority of them today they have been getting employment to about 25 industries, both within Kaduna and outside Kaduna. CGC alone, one of the leading construction companies, have employed about 42 of them. Many companies, I can mention about 25, that have, as we are speaking, about 1,000 of them have gotten jobs.
And it's the government that facilitated
because we are working with those industries and assuring them that, look, they can give them opportunity. And they came to the institutes, last week when they graduated before this ceremony, and they tested them, and they realized that they have the best skills and the qualification. So as I'm speaking with you, I have no doubt in my mind. These graduates will not only work within Kaduna. They can work anywhere.
Yeah. Do you think, Governor, that 200,000 might be enough for them?
That is not going to be enough for them. But the most important thing is giving them opportunity to have a place to work. Like I'm telling you, 1,000 of them have already been given opportunity in about 25 industries. And as I'm speaking with you, we have our own team working with these graduates, trainees, with their team also. And I have no doubt in my mind, in the next couple of months, you will realize that all of them, I have no doubt in my mind, will be gainfully employed. Some of them have told us they're prepared to be on their own. But the way things are moving, and the way we interact with many companies, certainly, and from what the MBTE Executive Secretary have said, they have qualifications with the best equipments in the whole country that every factory or industry will want to recruit them.
So do you have a method of tracking them? Because what we have seen over the years, and we have seen a lot of failed empowerment, because this should go beyond just empowering people. Yeah. These should set them up for life.
That is exactly what we've done. If you listen to my remarks today, what I mention today was that virtually all of them, only last 6 months, here in Abuja, there was a competition on skills that has to do with welding and fabrication. It will interest you to know that one of these trainees happens to be the best in the whole Nigeria when he participated. So we have people that have skills that they can work anywhere. And I've known that in my mind. Even I will continue to talk with most of these big industries and corporations to ensure that all of them have opportunities. That's what we are doing in Kaduna. And not only that, it may interest you to also know that Kaduna State have Skills Council, which I chaired. And this council is overseeing the development of not only vocational training and development in Kaduna, but they also see the development of most of these graduates. And that was the reason why probably you might also know that only 6 months ago, the Vice President, His Excellency Kashin Shettima, who happens to chair the National Council on Skills in Nigeria, wrote us a letter of commendation for being the first state in Nigeria to establish Skills Council in the whole of Nigeria. So this council we're talking about, which at the federal level is being chaired by the Vice President. Kaduna State is the first state in Nigeria to establish this council at the subnational level. That was the reason why the Vice President wrote me a letter personally and commend Kaduna State. So what we are doing is not only training our youth,
So
it's also ensuring that
are
they
you
are
doing
getting
this only
employed.
for Kaduna citizens? Or is open for everybody in Nigeria?
No. Kaduna is the most cosmopolitan state in Nigeria. And probably you don't know what happens in Kaduna. As a government, we made it clear to everyone. If we live in Kaduna, as far as I'm concerned, we have already gone beyond dichotomy of indigene and citizen in Kaduna. Kaduna is the most cosmopolitan state in Nigeria. That is why we're great. That is why we're different. That is why Kaduna is the capital of northern Nigeria. That's why everybody wants to live in Kaduna. Because if you look at most of these graduates today, some of them are not necessarily from Kaduna, but because they live in Kaduna.
Yeah.
Most of them were born in Kaduna.
So the reason why I'm asking is
their
that a
parents
lot of
live in
people,
Kaduna.
the impact we're talking about, a lot of people are watching tonight.
Yes.
They are looking for opportunities.
Yes.
They are looking for the skill set. They are looking to be trained. And they are wondering whether or not this is only open to Kaduna indigenes or citizens, or whether or not it's open to any other Nigerian, how they can get involved. Is it only school certificate? What is the entrance level?
I can tell you today, most of those people that were trained and have this Nigerian skill qualification framework, some of them have even degree. Some have diploma.
What is the minimum standard?
The minimum standard for you to enter there is
secondary school.
Secondary school. When you get secondary school, you can. Even some with degree, some with secondary school. There's no discrimination. The most important is it's about skills. That's the reason why.
And you don't need money. You don't need to know the governor or the commissioner to know anybody. Is there a way to obtain form?
What we normally do is that we have a portal.
Okay.
We allow people to apply. Most of the people that graduated today don't know anyone in Kaduna. Because, look, we're talking about addressing most of these problems in our state. You have to carry everyone along. When you come to Kaduna, it's the only state in Nigeria today, I must tell you, that we don't ask you which state are you from. Because most of the people live in Kaduna. They are born in Kaduna. They live in Kaduna. Why do we deny them opportunity? After all, they live in Kaduna. So when you're trying to address most of these issues, you have to address this issue holistically, without discrimination.
You promised to move from 4,050 graduates to 32,000 every year. Governor, show me the arithmetic. Where are the instructors, the workshop, the equipment, the funding, the employer to sustain an 8-fold expansion? Because if you do the mathematics, the number you graduated today times 8 is what you promised that you graduate every year.
Let me help you out. You see, the 3 institutes have the capacity to at least, like the one in Rigachukwu, have the capacity to at least train at least 14 to 15,000 youths. Probably in a year. You have not been to the school. That's what Professor Idris Bugaja is telling you. Our workshops are bigger than many workshops in the Federal University of Technologies. That's what the Executive Secretary of MPT just said. So we have campuses that are as big as universities because, like I told you, our focus is skill development because we want to address this issue. And again, probably you might not be aware of Panteka Market.
Mm-hmm. I know Panteka.
Panteka Market, if you have been to Kaduna before, you will know Panteka Market. When I came in, Panteka Market was the second largest informal skill hub in the whole of Africa. Second, with at least 40,000 artisans every day. But what did I do? I collaborated with the MBTE, and of course, we sat down with them, and I told them, can they come in to partner with Panteka Market so that our own people there can be able to have certification, even if it is less than level 2, so that they can have work to do. Because many complicated work that many people cannot do, even from some sub-Saharan Africa, West African countries, people bring them to Panteka Market if it is complicated. So Panteka Market today, as we are speaking, is the largest informal skill hub in the whole of Africa. We are overtaking the Juankali of Kenya, which has been #1 for almost 2 decades. Today, Kaduna Panteka market is number 1. What did we do? We invested almost 15 billion naira in terms of infrastructure, in terms of modeling the market, in terms of collaborating with MBTE to give them certification, because we don't want just people to sit there for years without advancing their skills. Most of them are educated, but they don't have opportunity.
One of the major reasons that pushed you, because the research has shown that a major cause of insecurity in any part of the world is poverty.
Yeah.
And joblessness, yes, or lack of opportunity. Is that the reason, one of the major reasons?
Yes, let me tell you something. When we came in, I said it many times, we look at the issue of insecurity in Kaduna State holistically. We had about 8 local governments. There were 4 local governments. We met over 100 schools closed, over 100 primary healthcare centers closed. Today, all the primary healthcare centers and the schools are reopening Kaduna. And the secret is simple. A lot of people are talking to me about why is it that we're having relative peace in Kaduna. Everybody wants to copy our model, but the model is simple, Shehu. The model is simple. You have to look at the symptoms and drivers of insecurity in your own state. Ours is very simple. We realize that poverty is one of the major issues. Number 2, youth unemployment is another area that is very critical. So how do we resolve that? We look at many areas. So this Institute of Vocational and Training Institutes are only one area. The second area was signing an executive order on the issue of financial inclusion. When I came, I realized that we are leading in many produce in Nigeria. Is it maize, ginger, tomato? But the problem is our farmers do not have access to credit. Why? Because more than 70% of them were unbanked, meaning they were financially excluded. So I'm telling you another area, apart from skill development. I had to sign an executive order to open an account to 2.6 million underserved, underprivileged of our people across many local governments. They were particularly in rural areas. Today, as we are speaking, if you go to any of the portal, go to the last intervention given by the federal government in the area of nano support, you will agree with me. Kaduna State is one state that benefited more than many states in Nigeria. Why did we do that? It's not a rocket science, because we were able to address the issue of financial exclusion.
So
and
Governor,
again, this is one area we do to
So,
address
Governor, the issue, the reason why I asked a question on insecurity is Kaduna became the center point of insecurity.
Before.
Train attack, abductions, killings, school kidnappings, and a whole lot of stuff happened. And I understand that your government engaged in the disarmament, demobilization, reintegration framework, which you inaugurated in May 2026 with the in collaboration with the Office of the NSA. But beyond that, is a very critical point that links to the livability, the purchasing power, the ability to welfare of your people. Would you say that you have turned the corner as far as security challenge is concerned?
I can tell you point blank that we've done extremely well. And I'll give you one example.
Have you turned the corner?
We've turned the corner. And I'll give you an example now. You will agree with me. Not only in Kaduna State, but in the whole Northwest. If you heard of Benungwari before, Benungwari was the epicenter of insecurity in Nigeria. You will agree with me. Today, Benungwari is one of the safest local government in Nigeria. And I'll tell you how. Benungwari local government was one of the local government in Kaduna when I came in that did not experience 1 single kilometer abroad in about 20 years. Why? Because of insecurity. Again, many governments try to even address the issue of infrastructure between Kaduna to Benungwari, everybody abandoned it. And even the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, tested that when he came to Kaduna in 2022. We dropped to Benungwari with him, but with more than 21 armored vehicles escorted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Benungwari, alongside the late GOC or mechanized division, led Labaja. But today, Sheun, you can leave Kaduna by 12 midnight and go to Benangwari without any security escort.
By road?
By road. And that is the reason why I went back to Mr. President. And I said, Mr. President, you came to Benangwari in 2022. And recall, you had to get to Benangwari with 21 armored vehicles alongside Led Labaja, the GOC. But today you can go to Benangwari without police escort. Then I said, but recall also, you promised you will construct a road, which is 122 kilometers, from Kaduna to Benangwari. Before, it was a no-go area. Today, as we are speaking, 178 billion naira was released by the president. The road project is ongoing. The contractors are doing their business, constructing the road. No any single issue of insecurity. That's Benangwari, that was a no-go area. Again, inside the Benangwari town, Kaduna State government is constructing 36 kilometers of road. By who? By CGC. The company constructing most of the bridges in Abuja here. None of their staff have had the issue of insecurity challenge in Benangwari. So we are turning the corner. Not only Benangwari, many local governments like Giwa.
But there are still pockets of insecurity here and there.
There are still pockets. I'm not sitting here to tell you that every issue has been addressed. But I can tell you, it's still a work in progress. That is the reason why if we have addressed all these issues, we would not have been investing in this issue of skill development, addressing the issue of unemployment, addressing the issue of poverty eradication. All these things we are doing it because we are still working. And government should not relax because we're making progress.
You've said that you are taking more than 500,000 children out of the streets into school, the out-of-school children. Your government says that it spent about 246 billion naira on education.
Yes.
If you have spent roughly $250 billion on education this year, what are
not this year. We didn't spend it this year.
Well, in the budget cycle.
In the budget cycle.
Proposed for a budget cycle.
Yeah.
That's what you plan.
Yeah, that's
for 2026.
Yes, that's
so the question is, what are the 3 measurable educational outcomes that taxpayers should use to judge you based on the spendings you promised?
Yeah. Let me give you one example. And I'm not the one who said we have taken back 500,000 out of school children. It was the Minister of Education, Mr. Lausa, because he has the record, he has the statistics, and he has the data. When I visited his office, he came openly and called on all the states across the country to adopt Kaduna State household mapping exercise for addressing out-of-school children. Well, what does that mean? It means that Kaduna State government, in the last 2 years, were able to visit 36,000 households. So when we're talking about out-of-school children in Kaduna, we're not just talking out from our distance. It's on the issue of data. So because of that, today, when we came in, we realized that we had 550,000 out-of-school children because 360,000 households were visited. So we identified the out-of-school children. Because of that, we embark on addressing the problem. Today, as we're speaking, just like the minister just said, we were able to take over 300,000 back to classroom, meaning it's still a work in progress. That was the reason why we quickly seek for alliance with 3 major or 4 development partners.
Would you say, Governor, that in the last 3 years that you have been governor of Kaduna State, have you been a failure or a success?
For me, I can say we have really succeeded in many areas: agriculture, education, infrastructure, skill development, all those and security.
You've gotten almost 4 times more than the kind of money that your predecessor got.
No, but I can tell you today, and I hate to say it, but I will say it today. I hate to say it, but if you go to debt management office, we don't talk, we only walk. Even at that, you will never hear any of my staff talking, but we pay 6.7 billion every month from the loan we inherited. Since I became governor, I've not borrowed 1 kobo. It's about being prudent. It's about selecting or being very careful in where you invest the money. That's the most important. As a leader, you have to sit down. We are
so you're not groaning about what you met on the ground?
I don't do that. You know what? I don't want, because
but you met a very terrible economic situation? Is that the situation?
What I'm trying to say in essence, we are paying 6.7 billion every month from our FAC, which will continue until 2048. Of course.
The state is that indebted?
That is what is there in the debt management office. It's not me. You can cross-check tomorrow morning. But Kaduna State government, under my government, we will not borrow one kobo. But again, that's why sitting here, I must thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A lot of people sitting where they are continue to promise. But when I talk on data and statistics. And whatever I say to you, you can go and clarify and verify. That is the most important.
All right, give me a moment.
So you see,
Governor, we need to go on a break. But when we come back, can Bola Tinubu and the APC make any progress in terms of vote aggregation or winning any vote in Kaduna? Will Ubasani's performance or his promises to the people of Kaduna and the APC a victory, especially when we are now in the campaign season? Well, he's gotten a very big role in the campaign of President Bola Tinubu. Can he merge campaign and governance at the same time? Those are going to be some of the talking points after we return from this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Senator Ubasani, the governor of Kaduna State, has been speaking with us on the program tonight. Governor, the president has advised you and your colleagues to stop building bridges.
Yeah.
So, is that what you're also doing?
Of course, I agree with Mr. President.
Oh, you are still building bridges?
I agree, Mr. President. Since I came as a governor, I have not built one single flyover. My bridge is what I've built, what I've done today. That's a bridge.
The people?
The people. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think Mr. President did that to fight governors. He is our leader. There's nothing wrong in advising us. And of course, you will agree with me that there are a lot of issues globally and also in the country today. So Nigeria is not an exception. Many countries globally have these challenges. But you see, when you look at what Mr. President said, I agree with him 100%. When he came with the CNG policy, he advised us. And of course, that was the reason why I bought about 100 CNG buses. If you come to Kaduna today, I will send your own staff tomorrow. You will see that we have allowed our CNG buses to be used free for our own people in Kaduna. And to date, 1.9 million of our people use our CNG buses free, saving about 3.4 billion naira. So for us, that's the way to go. At the beginning, when we bought our CNG, there was a debate in our government. Some insisted that we should allow workers, retirees, to benefit from the free CNG buses. But when we sat down, we look at the issues that our people were facing, and we realized that, look, there are people who are not, how many percentage of our people that are workers? How many percent of our people that are retirees? They are not more than 2 to 3%. So what of the remaining 97% who are not workers, who are on their own, but they have to benefit. So because of that reason, we said everyone can use our CNG buses free. Today I'm happy. 1.9 million of our people benefited in the last 9 months, saving 3.4 billion naira. So this is how to go. Government for us is about people. If we don't support our people, certainly we cannot address the issue of criminality, which is very critical.
Would you say that Kaduna is safer today?
We are 100% safer today than we met it. And of course, you see, many people don't understand. Kaduna is a very diverse state than any other state in Nigeria. And that's the reason why we have to address 2 issues there in Kaduna. When we address the issue of security, we're addressing the issue about diversity, which we have been able to use it as a strength in Kaduna today. You've not heard of any ethno-religious crisis in Kaduna since I came in. It's just easy, simply because we are running the state.
Yeah.
But
Governor, if 30 people can still be murdered in one community in a single night, How comfortable are you telling Kaduna people that the security problem has been
Yes,
sustainably solved?
I will tell you that. You see, that isolated case that happened after like 2 years or 3 years.
In Naridon village?
Yeah. It's simply because, of course, you have to understand, Kaduna cannot live in isolation because we borders about 4 to 5 states. Maybe you may not know. Kaduna directly borders over 8 states precisely. And that incident happened within the border of Kaduna and Plateau. I had conversation with the governor of Plateau State, and of course he assured me, because that incident was an isolated incident that was in the border of Plateau and Kaduna. But of course, I'm not making excuses. We have addressed the issue, and certainly it's something like that was why I told you we have not addressed the entire problem of insecurity. It's still work in progress.
You are in support of state policing. What, in terms of infrastructure, have you done? Do you have drones? Do you have a command and control center? What have you done differently to secure Kaduna?
Let me tell you, see, the issue of state police have come back again. I was an architect of state police bill when I was in the Senate. So if you talk to me 1 million times, I will tell you the way to go is a state police.
And you will not misuse it? Of
course, you see, I kept telling people who misunderstood the issue of state police simply because they don't know the art of lawmaking. If you are making a law, Mr. Sheun, it is the drafters of the law that will allow whether the people that oppress the law abuse it or not. Today, you went into election, and you will agree with me that have you seen military personnel around the polling units of any election? Because the law prohibited them. So when you create a state police, you can restrict them to only focusing on the issues that have to do with crime, not political issues. Allow the federal police force to continue to deal with the issue of politics. That is simple. But because I was in the Senate, and I sponsored about 32 bills. 4 of them were passed. 3 were assented that became law in Nigeria. So I can tell you the art of lawmaking. If you are making a law, it is the drafters of the law.
Do you think that this state police bill will be passed before the election?
As far as I'm concerned, if you want to know...
So I'm asking as a former lawmaker and as a governor, because of the timing...
Yeah, because it is an executive bill. Because many people don't understand. When I sponsored both Fair Act, AMCON Act, NDSE Act that were passed and assented by Mr. President, the then President Buhari, it was my own law, individual bill. But because this is an executive bill, I have no doubt in my mind. It can be passed even within the next 1 month.
Well,
it's possible.
Let me take you to politics. You are the deputy director general in the campaign council. Yeah. And we understand that there's a whole lot of infighting within the APC because of that list. Although the party has come out to say they're going to do some adjustment, not a review. But in Kaduna State, Governor, Atiku beat Bola Tinubu with over 155,000 votes. President Bola Tinubu got 399,000 votes, with Atiku with over 550,000 votes. Yeah. President Bola Tinubu won only in 2 local government out of the 23 local government. Atiku won 14. Peter Obi won 7. There are those who say that because of what is happening to Nasir El-Rufai, there are those of his supporters who think that he's being witch-hunted. That there is no pathway for a Bola Tinubu or APC victory in Kaduna this time around.
Let me tell you, you see, the problem with a lot of people talking are either ignorant of the politics of Kaduna, or they are just talking because they are mischievous. Let me tell you in a simple English. Kaduna, just write it down today. Put it down. Just put it down. That Sani telling you. Yes, put it so that so that Aswaju will get nothing less than between 70 to 80% of the votes. And I will tell you why. I told you I talk based on data and statistics. Do you understand? Number one, you see in Kaduna, we are not like other states. We're highly educated. We don't believe in a politician coming to say, I will do, I will do, I will do. We don't get into that kind of politics. Our people are highly educated, very aware, very knowledgeable. It's not by coincidence that we're the capital of northern Nigeria and we're most cosmopolitan. So let me tell you, in 2023, a lot of people voted against a party, particularly in the southern part of Kaduna, mostly. Why? Because at that time, virtually all the political leaders in the opposition were the senators, members of the House of Reps, are in the opposition. Today, as I'm speaking with you, because of what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have done to Kaduna State and Southern Kaduna also in particular, from Senator Sunday Katun, who was the one leading the battle against our party then, they have all, as we are speaking, moved to APC. Nobody forced them. But because of what Aswaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu have done, let me tell you 2 or 3 things. Number one, a lot of people have been asking for an extra federal university. As we are speaking, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu established Federal University of Science and Technology there in Kachia.
In southern Kaduna?
Yes, in Kachia. Number 2, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have also established a Federal Medical Center, this time around in Kapanchan. That's number 2. Number 3, I sat down with Mr. President. I went to him and said, this is the deficit we have in infrastructure in Kaduna State. Some people feel marginalized, and it's politics. They have every right to protest. Today in Kaduna, when I came in, I realized that 12 local governments did not have a single 1 kilometer of completed road in 14 years. Why wouldn't people protest? Why wouldn't they agitate? I spent most of my life as a civil rights activist. I went to detention 5 times fighting for rule of law, justice and fairness in Nigeria. So when people protest on something that is right, we listen to it, because I was part of the people that were protesting before. So now, what did we do? We take development to every part of Kaduna State. That is one thing. The northern part of Kaduna, there are some local government that resisted. But today, when you go to local government like Ikara, like Makarpi, like Soba, they are in the other part of Kaduna. None of those local government have seen even 2 kilometers of road completed in 13 to 12 years. I called Makarpi local government because the former governor of Kaduna State was Governor Makarpi, who was a governor for 8 years, senator for 8 years. That's why I can call his local government. When I became governor, Makarpi local government did not experience 1 kilometer of road in 12 years before I became governor. So I can mention his name.
So have you done anything?
We've done right now.
So you are moving. You are saying President Bola Tinubu will move from a 29% of vote cast
to 70 to 80%.
To 70.
Just write it down.
And that's the magic you want to.
Yeah, let me tell you.
You want to perform.
Yes, let me tell you again.
But again, you have not talked about the grievance of the supporters of Nasir El-Rufai.
Let me tell you.
Those who think that it's being witch hunted.
In Kaduna State, we don't do politics of sentiments. I am not going to talk about any personality here. I am not here to speak about the former governor. I respect him. I value him. I respect Makarpi. I respect Namadi Sambo. I respect Ramalanyuru. I respect Governor El-Rufai. They've done their best. But in politics, I'm here to fight for APC. And I'm telling you what is going to happen. Put it down. Again, you've seen what we've done in education. You've seen what we've done in healthcare. And we cannot have achieved everything. Let me give you one example. Some presidential candidate or some people came here to the studio, not only the studio, even other studios, talking about, I'm going to remove, to bring back subsidy, I'm going to do this. One day, one politician will come and sit here and tell you that when I became governor, when I became president, I will ensure that every student is given 10 million, and you allow him to walk away without asking him, how do you do it? Another day someone will come and tell you, I'm going to...
Your government's policy on removal of fuel subsidy has not bettered the lot of the average person.
Let me tell you...
That there are more poor people.
No, that is not true. You see, let me tell you, why did I sign the executive order in Kaduna? Because look, I came from being a senator, chairing the Committee on Banking and Financial Institutions. So I had the statistics from the Development Finance Department of the Central Bank. If you go there, check the 2023 statistics from the Central Bank, Development Finance Department. You will agree with me. By the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu became, even Adamawa State, Zamfara State, we had about 70 to 65% of people that were financially excluded. Was it the problem of Aswaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu? We had 18 million out of school children. Was it Aswaji that made it to happen?
Governor,
it's yes.
Governor Sani, we're totally out of time, and we just have 30 seconds. And let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Just in 30 seconds, please. It does look like there is a storm against Bola Tinubu from the north.
No way. It's not possible. Let me tell you.
Is the north angry against Tinubu?
The Aswaji Bola Tinubu will win the northwest convincingly. Not even Kaduna. The whole northwest and the northeast and even north central. I will tell you why. You see, I told you, maybe you didn't listen to me, Sheun. Most of these people that are coming, they have not come to with spurious agenda. What could they do differently? We didn't ask them that question.
If Tinubu
I sat here. Listen to me. Can I tell you something? Because you don't contest to be president by campaigning at the top. I will tell you today, in Nigeria, we have about 8,600 wards. Political wards in Nigeria. Wards only. 774 local governments. Over 1,900 constituencies. I will tell you today, if you go and cross-check, most of these parties, they don't exist in many political wards in Nigeria. So you don't become president by campaigning in Abuja and in some pockets of places.
All right.
Election is practical. We don't do it on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
All right.
It's on the ballot.
Governor,
thank you very much.
Governor Sani of Kaduna said, it's a pleasure having you join us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure.
I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
That's our program for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Seun Wakimbaloye. God bless Nigeria.